Good morning, lovely fourth graders. Today, we will be finding equivalent fractions using multiplication or division. We will begin with finding equivalent fractions using multiplication. As you can see, we have a fraction here, 2/3. In order for us to find an equivalent fraction using multiplication, we're going to multiply 2/3 times any number, but we're going to make sure that we multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number. So 2/3, we could start with 2. That's the easier one, right? 2 times 2, but we make sure that we multiply the denominator by the same number, 2. So this will equal 4/6. Now, when we find the equivalent fractions using multiplication, we do not only have to use 4. We can use 3, 4, 5. It doesn't matter. As long as we're multiplying the numerator by the same number and the denominator by the same number, you will end up with an equivalent fraction. So for 4/5, we're going to try 3. So 4/5 times 3, 4 times 3, and then we must multiply 5 times 3 as well, which will equal 4 times 3 equals 12, and then 5 times 3 equals 15. So 12/15 is equivalent to 4/5. So like I said, you do not have to use 2 or 3. You can use any number you want. Just make sure that you're multiplying the numerator by the same number and the denominator by the same number. So let's try a big number. Let's try 10. So we're going to multiply the numerator by 10 and the denominator by 10. And it's going to be equal to 50, 60. And it's still equivalent, even though the numbers are different, even though the fractions are different, they are still equivalent because the values are the same. 5/6 is the same as 50/60. 4/5 is the same as 12/15. 2/3 is the same as 4/6. The values are the same, even though the numbers in the fractions are different. Okay, so let's try to find equivalent fractions using division. So when we're finding equivalent fractions division, we're dividing now. Instead of multiplying, we're going to divide the numerator and the denominator by the same digit, same number. So it's a little bit tricky here because you have to figure out which number to choose when you're dividing. It's easy when the numbers are even because then you know automatically that you can divide by 2. Because as long as the numbers are even, you can divide by 2. So for this one, we know we can divide by 16 by 2 and 8 by 2. And we're going to get 16 divided by 2, which is almost like saying 2 times what equals 16 is equal to 8. And 8 divided by 2, which is almost like saying 2 times what equals 8. And it will give you 4. But sometimes they ask you for 2 equivalent fractions. So you might want to think about what else can be divided into 16 and 8 that will be able to give you an equivalent fraction. So if you know your multiplication facts, you know that 8 and 16 shows up in certain different multiplication facts. It shows up in the 4 times table, and it also shows up in the 8 times table. So for this one, we're going to choose 4 because we know that 16 is in the 4 times table, and we also know that 8 is in the 4 times table. So we're going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by 4. So 16 divided by 4, or 4 times what equals 16, is equal to 4. 8 divided by 4, or 4 times what equals 8, is equal to 2. So this fraction is 4/2. So 4/2 is equivalent to 16/8 is equivalent to 8/4. Okay? So the next one's a little tricky because we see a odd number and an even number, which means that we cannot use 2 because 2 is not going to divide into 9 evenly without ending up with a remainder. So you're going to have to figure out which number can divide into 6 and 9 evenly. So now you have to think about your multiplication table. So what multiplication table do you see 6 and 9 both in? And if you recall, 6 and 9 both end up in the 3 times table. So I can divide 9 by 3 and also 6 by 3, which will equal 9 divided by 3, or 3 times what equals 9, is equal to 3. 6 divided by 3, or 3 times what equals 6, is equal to 2. So 3 halves. Last one. So this one's a little bit easier too, just like the first one, because both numbers are even. So we know we can automatically choose to divide by 2 to find an equivalent fraction. So 24 divided by 2 is 12, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. But if they ask you to find 2 of them, you need to find out what else can be divided into 24 and 8 to give you an equivalent fraction. So think about your multiplication facts. Where do I see 8 and 24 in the same multiplication facts table? I know that I'll see both of them in the 8 times table. So I know that when I'm multiplying my 8, when I'm saying my 8 times table, I say 8, and then if I keep going, I'm going to get to 24. So I can divide both the numerator and the denominator by 8. So 24 divided by 8 is equal to what? Well, 8 times what equals 24? I know 8 times 3 equals 24, so 3 is going to go up there. And then 8 divided by 8, meaning 8 times what is going to give me 8, equals to 1. So 3 over 1 and 12 over 4 are equivalent to 24 eighths. Just like 3 halves is equivalent to 9 sixths, and so forth and so on. So try it out. Let me know what you think. I hope this helped. Have a great day.